Broadcasting from Cincinnati, you're listening to the Ringside Reporter podcast. All the news from the world of boxing right here.
Well, I'm talking to you the way I want to talk to you.
Now, here's your host, Eric Lorda.
And we are live. Welcome to the Ringside Reporter Show, where we talk about the latest boxing news. If it's related to boxing, we'll talk about it here. My name is Eric Lorta, and I'm here with my co-host, Joe Habib, and we have a great show for you today. And as always, if you want to call in and ask questions, you can call in right now at 323-870-3857, and we'll be here till 9 o'clock tonight. We want to welcome all the viewers out there watching us on Fight TV. Thank you so much for tuning in. And today, we're going to talk about Beeb. Canelo Alvarez versus Sergey Kovalev is reported to be close to done. How close? We'll let you know. You excited about that one?
100%.
There we go. Another thing you're going to be excited about, Floyd Mayweather will announce his next opponent on September 18th. Somehow I'm not so excited for that one. I'm excited for the other one. I don't know. We'll see. First, we're going to get started with the fights this weekend. We start off in Japan. Jorge Linares versus Al Toyagan. Jorge Linares wins a unanimous decision over Toyagan by the scores of 99-90, 100-90, and 100-89. Linares looked good here, man, and I think this was the kind of fight he needed after his last fight with Pablo Cesar Cano, where he was KO'd in the first round. Toyagan was game, just not as skilled, and it showed, man. It really did. I did think Linares did a good job, though. I mean, depending on, what you wanted to see from him. Beeb, talk about this fight for a little bit, and what were your thoughts on this?
Well, the thing about it is, when you look at Linares and you just watch him fight, it's like poetry in motion at certain points. When you sit there and you take little bits and pieces of the fight, when he's just running his combinations so fluently, and he's just putting the shots together, and he's placing the shots perfectly. He looks like the prototypical boxer, and what a boxer is supposed to look like. If you wanted to look up boxer in the dictionary, in those moments, it would be Jorge Linares. But, those are all just, snapshots in time, really, because you have to look at the fight in its totality. And the thing about Linares is, it's always that point where he seems to just lose a little bit of focus, seems complacent at points, and he always seems to make that little mistake. And he made that little mistake in this fight a few times, most notably in the fourth round when he was really wobbled by the left hook there.
Yeah.
And, he was not in there with the world beater, but this kid was tough. He was taking everything Linares brought to the table, and he was eating it like candy, and he kept coming forward. So credit to Linares and credit to this young man as well, because he was a tough cookie, but Linares had to sit there and continue to deal with that mental pressure too, and that constant pressure of having this guy in his face all night. So he had to move a lot. He had to punch a lot to punch him off him. And, the thing is sometimes with Linares is he has a hard time gauging distance. Sometimes he'll move straight out and not step off to the side, not pivot out. He'll just go straight out, and he'll think he's out of range, and he's not out of range. And that's how he gets tagged a lot with, shots he shouldn't be getting hit with a guy that's, as skilled as him. And he has a tendency to drop that right hand a little bit, and he's a sucker for the left hook because he does drop that right hand a lot. So he reminds me of Amir Khan, because Amir Khan is such a beautiful boxer to watch when he's just flowing and he's got those combinations, just effortlessly being thrown so fluently and so smoothly and so precise. But he's another guy that always seems to let the bottom fall out from underneath him at certain points in a fight. He always seems to make that one mistake. And Linares almost did it here against someone that was several levels below him. So going back to what I said last week, when you watch a fighter and he's in there particularly when I was talking about this with the prospects and the up and comers and the soon to be contenders, those guys who are on the cusp of becoming contenders, right? You say to yourself, when they're in there with nondescript competition, just like I said last week, what would happen if so and so did that to him, or if he was in there with a different guy who's of much higher level than the guy he's in there with currently, what would have happened? So you have to ask yourself, what would have happened to Linares if that was a top level fighter in there that landed that left hook and who knew how to finish? He would have been in serious trouble. So again, Linares definitely is a very, very good fighter, but once again, those little bits and pieces of complacency that does set in from time to time always seems to catch up with him, and he always seems to make that one big mistake, and a lot of times he can't come back from that mistake that he does make. So he was just lucky, with all due respect, that he wasn't in there with someone who could capitalize fully on the mistakes that he does make, because I didn't see anything in this fight that would show me that he could ever beat a Lomachenko or anyone of that caliber. So
no, and this was a good comeback fight for him. You know what I mean? This was a good comeback fight. This is a confidence builder. This is what he needed. This is the kind of thing that he really, really needed, I think, to kind of get back. And he wanted to get back in the win column and everything. But to your point, too, this was a tougher fight than maybe it should have been, no?
100%. 100%.
But could that be a scouting issue? Could that be, or just, is that a Linares issue in the sense that, hey, we thought we were going to get somebody, and this guy really did come to fight. And he wasn't a bad fighter. I didn't think that Toyagan, when you watched him, I didn't think he was a bad fighter at all. I thought he came to fight. He came to bring pressure. He was going to be in your face for all of those rounds, He was going to give him work.
If you were to pick up this guy's box rec, if you were to look at this guy's box rec, he had 15 fights. He was 10-4-1. So on paper, this was supposed to be a walkover. But again, these fights aren't fought on paper; they're fought in the ring.
Right.
So you have to ask yourself: was he underestimating Togoyan? Did he know much about him himself? Did he just look at the box rec like a lot of times people do? As you said, was he scouted properly? I don't know. But one thing I can tell you, at the very least, Toyagan did not look like a 10-4 fighter.
No, he sure didn't, did he?
He didn't look like a 10-4 fighter to me.
Well, you know what? And that's why they brought him out there, because he's a 10-4 fighter. And they expected Linares to just steamroll this guy. You know?
Yeah. And it's hard. It's so hard. I can imagine a fighter when, it's so hard to get up for a guy like Toyagan, with all due respect. When you fought the guys that Linares had fought, and you have to find yourself keep going back to the drawing board and keep starting over and keep rebuilding. I think it's just it's deflating sometimes, I would imagine. A guy like Linares who's a multiple-time world champion in multiple weight divisions and finds himself having to start over time and time again.
No.
Now you say to yourself, well, whose fault is that? I understand. But it's like a mental seesaw ride, like a mental roller coaster ride that Linares is on. He's up, he's down, he's up, he's down. He's in a title fight, and now he's in a rebuild, a confidence builder fight. At this stage of his career, you have to ask yourself, should he need confidence building fights? Should he have to keep going back to the drawing board?
No, but that being said, he was knocked out in the first round. He was just blown out in his last fight.
100%. But sometimes you say to yourself, should I jump back up on the horse like what Anthony Joshua was doing? Or do I keep going back to, a couple, two or three or even 4 levels below what I'm supposed to be fighting? So these are the type of fights where, these could be banana peel fights, really, because they're no-win situations. They're no-win situations because you blow the guy out, you did what you were supposed to do. You don't blow the guy out, you didn't do what you were supposed to do. And what people are gonna say? Well, what's wrong with him? He's lost it or whatever. He's on his way out, or he doesn't have it anymore. If he can't blow a guy like Toyagon out. So that's the dilemma that you run in. And obviously, like you said, these fights are necessary at certain points. But we see Linares having to revert back to these fights too many times in recent years. So because this guy's been at the top of the mountain, he shouldn't have to travel back down to the valley.
Does he ever? I mean, let's take a look at this. We look at this fight, and yeah, he did a good job against this guy, but the guy is 10-4, and it wasn't. He beat him every round. He did. He won just about every round. I got it, but that guy was in the fight. That guy was there to fight. I mean, it wasn't as easy as that scorecard would have led you to believe. Does he ever get back to form? Because there was nothing in there. Listen, I mean, he's fought, he's got a lot of fights under his belt. Linares I'm speaking of. He's got a lot of fights under his belt. That being said, listen, it's not like he's going to go back to the gym and reinvent himself. He is who he is.
No.
So they give him this fight. They give him this comeback fight, right? So what happens now? Does he get another feeder opponent?
Well,
and then does he step up in rank? I mean, because again, you mentioned in the fourth round, like you said, he got rocked by that, was it the left or whatever? I think he
left
said
hook. Yeah,
left hook.
Left hook. He looked really hurt. He looked like he was. He could have gone at that moment.
Yeah, it's a tough call.
He was ready to be taken at that moment. It looked like.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough call as to where he goes from here. Would you let me ask you this: if you're his management team, do you give him another feeder opponent, or do you step him back up in competition?
I put him in there with a guy like Relic next.
Wow. Okay.
You have to.
Yeah.
You have to.
He's not going to learn anything from these fights other than getting confidence. And I guess you have to gauge him after this fight. Is he back to where he should be? Is he, But yeah, you got to put him up against a guy, a top guy now.
Or maybe even an Ndango. That would be a good opponent for him. An Ndango.
Wow, I never thought about that one. That's a good fight.
An Ndango, a Relic.
That's a solid fight right there.
Let me ask you a serious question right now.
Yeah.
Did you see anything yesterday that led you to believe that he could beat a Josh Taylor?
No.
Or Regis Prograis?
No.
Okay.
No, and that's the other thing too, man. Is he's not
or Ramirez? What would Ramirez do to him?
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's not
because Ramirez is going to be able to land one of those left hooks. That's his money punch.
Yeah. And
if he can land it, if he can land it against Hooker, he could definitely land it against Linares, right? So
yeah. That Ndango fight, that's interesting. That's an interesting fight. I like that a lot. Now, whether it happens or not, that's different. But I like that fight a lot.
Well, let me ask you another question. Was it a good move to move him up to 140, knowing that he wasn't even durable at 135?
No, it really wasn't.
I mean, what is he, 5? What is he, 5? How tall is he? 5'8", 5'9"?
Something like that, yeah.
Right?
But he's not very, he's not, you take him, and I mean, maybe, there's bigger money fights, but is there really bigger money fights at 140 than 135? You know what I mean?
I would say no.
I would too. But 135 seems to be locked up pretty well, though. I mean, it's kind of locked up on one side of the street, promotion-wise.
Yeah.
So it's tough, man. It's a tough call. It really is.
Hamed says Linares reminds him of Khan. That's what I said earlier. I made the direct comparison of him to Khan because they both look so good in spots in the fight, and they always seem to make that one mistake that just turns the fight. That one little mistake they make, as small as it may be, it just seems to ruin the fight for them, and they can't recover in a lot of instances. Yeah.
Yeah. And,
I don't like him at 140 at all.
I don't either.
I don't like him at 140.
Jason, let's see what Jason says here. Jason says that Linares could fight Mikey at 140. Nah, I don't think so, man.
I agree with Ring IQ Boxing Talk. He says Linares needs to go back to 135, wait for Loma to leave, and win a vacant title. That's the plan.
Yeah.
That's the plan. 100% ring IQ. I agree.
Loma's gonna leave that division in short order. I mean, because there's nothing for him to do once he unifies those titles or tries to unify those titles. Comey and Tiafimo, that's no easy cakewalk.
Yeah.
They're going to fight each other, and then the winner is supposed to fight Loma. Loma's going to have another fight in between those two. Those aren't cakewalk fights, man. But if he does happen to unify that title, once you unify the division, they always move up unless you're a heavyweight.
Yeah, he's going to move up. He's going to go to 140. He's going to go. And, he can hang with the Pro Grazes, and he can hang with the Josh Taylors, and he can hang with him and Ramirez. I think Ramirez would he has a style that would be very problematic to Lomachenko. He's got that, that grinder type style that'll Lomachenko will have to fight to keep him off him a little bit, But will he be able to? Because Ramirez is a physically strong guy. He's a real physically strong guy who applies pressure. So I think that would probably style-wise be his toughest fight if he was to move up to 140. But the other two matchups, I think, would be intriguing. You may favor him against maybe a Josh Taylor or a Pro Grace.
Yeah.
But I think Ramirez is a beast in that division.
Yeah, he really is.
After what he did to Hooker, that was.
I didn't see that coming. I didn't see it
shocking.
coming.
That was.
I
shocking.
thought, I tell you what, man. I thought that he would beat Hooker. I didn't think he would do it like that. I didn't see that coming.
No.
Not the way Hooker fights, man. I didn't see that coming. So.
No. Hooker's very defensively responsible.
Yeah, he really is. He's almost. I won't call him a safety first fighter because he's not that, but he's very, like you said, defensively responsible.
Yeah, he is.
So that was the action in Japan. This was, let me start off by saying this. These weeks, or weekends rather, when there's not a whole lot of fighting on, it is kind of good. There's not like marquee fights on. This is kind of good because you go back and, we watch these fights that maybe we normally would not have watched. And this was one of them. And this was this was one of those fights that I probably wouldn't have watched otherwise. From the Philippines, this was actually promoted by Manny Pacquiao Promotions. Sammy Salva versus Pedro Tataran for the vacant IBF strawweight title. This was a pretty good fight, man. Tataran actually becomes the new IBF strawweight champion by fourth round TKO over the previously unbeaten Sammy Salva. Tataran he was real aggressive throughout, and it almost cost him in the first round. He came in, he had Salva in the corner. He came in, and Salva threw a picture-perfect right hand that connected right on the chin and just dropped him. I was shocked that he even got up from that, because if you go back and watch that shot, it was right on the point of the chin. He dropped him like a sack of potatoes. He got back up. Clearly, beat the count quick. He got right back up. And he looked like he was a little bit wobbled, but wasn't really out of the fight. I thought that punch should have done more damage, but it is what it is, man. He didn't. That was pretty much the only highlight for Salva, man. The pressure from Tataran was just way too much. Salva couldn't come off the stool for the fifth round, so it ended right there. And it was also reported that Salva was taken out on the stretcher, man. Listen, man, that being said, that fight could have been stopped multiple times. Could have been stopped in the third, could have been stopped in the fourth. Salva was actually, you could see it. There was an intentional headbutt. He got a point taken away from him in round 4. Tataran is right in there, and he just, you could see him just come back and just wail with his head. I had to actually go back and watch it because I'm like, as I'm watching, I'm like, why is he taking a point away? And then I had to rewind. I'm like, that's why he took a point away. He intentionally tried to headbutt him. You don't see that too often. But
Victor Ortiz.
Yeah, that's, you know what? And that's exactly what it reminded you of. It reminded you, because it was like that blatant.
Well, let me ask you a question, because Tim Bradley said this and before, and I think Sean Porter said this as well. When Errol Spence was saying like that he headbutts people intentionally and he's a dirty fighter, blah blah. And he pointed to the scars on his eyebrows and stuff. Why would I want to do this to myself, Errol? Why would I want to do this to myself? So you ask yourself, because these guys, their bodies are their tools, right? So if you intentionally headbutt somebody, you're damaging your own body. Why would you want to do that? You know what I'm saying?
Well, from what I understand, is that when you headbutt somebody, there's a proper way to do it. And I guess you're supposed to do it with the crown of your head, not your forehead, not, the side of your face or anything. It's supposed to be the crown of your head. And if you watch Victor Ortiz and you watch Salva last night, you can see them pull down with their head and lunge forward like a ram. Okay. I mean, you can watch it and it's just boom. And you can see Victor Ortiz do it in the Floyd Mayweather fight too. He puts his head down and juts up, and that's the same thing that happened here. Now, like guys like Tim Bradley and stuff like that, those, and like I said, Sean Porter to an extent, everybody says they're fighting, but you're, to your point, you're right. That's not the way you headbutt somebody intentionally.
No, exactly.
And you can cause, yourself. I mean, you can cause a cut to yourself just as easy that
100%.
So,
but even in trying to use the crown of your head, you could still hit the guy the wrong way and end up giving yourself a concussion.
Yeah.
I mean, football players get hit on the top of the heads all the time, the crown of the head all the time. Yeah. They still get concussions, right? With helmets on.
Well, look at soccer. Soccer has a lot of concussions now, I guess, from head balls. So much so that in recreational soccer, they actually it's against the rules to head ball until you get to a certain age.
Well, let me ask you: do the kids that you coached, are they allowed to head ball?
No.
Yeah.
No, not allowed to head ball.
As a coach, let me ask you this. Let's go one further. Is it really necessary to head ball?
In the middle of the field, no. But where it comes in handy is in the goal. If you're by the goal line and they cross that ball and you can head it in, yeah, I mean, it could help you. But the thing is you have to know how to do a head ball. It takes a lot of practice. Yeah. It takes a lot of skill. And most of the players don't know how to do one. You know what I mean? They don't know how to do it anyway.
You have to be almost perfect with it.
It's got to be developed. It's a skill that has to be developed, just like anything else. Yeah. And if you're not used to it, then it's going to be totally even if we could, I don't teach it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Because I mean, it's so much easier to just kick the ball in. Like you can control the ball much better with your feet than you can with your head.
Yes, for sure.
Obviously, right?
For sure.
So why not go with the better option, in my opinion.
But I mean, if they were of age and they could do it, I mean, we might spend a little bit of time on it, but for like recreational kids and stuff club players, it's a little bit different because this is what they've got like 3 or 4 practices a week and stuff like that.
Sure.
For like recreational players and stuff like that, even if they could, I wouldn't spend a lot of time on it. Yeah. It's just one of those things.
I got you.
Yeah. All right. From Mexico, Mickey Roman versus Gusano Rojas. Roman won a unanimous decision over Rojas by the scores of 117-112, 116-112, and 117-111. Mickey Roman was fighting a 39-year-old Rojas who has a 51-18 record. Listen, man, Roman has a lot of great fights over his career. This was a fight that didn't mean a whole lot, and he goes the distance with the guy. And it was more competitive. Put it this way, it was more competitive than it should have been. I don't see Roman fighting for a major title anymore, but I mean, that's just my opinion, man. It was kind of, it's tough, to watch this guy who, who's been at the top of the mountain and everything like that and fight and have it that competitive. If you're going to fight a journeyman and do what you should do to him, but it's not going that way for him, It's tough. It's tough to watch sometimes. So there you go. Quick UFC update. UFC 242, Khabib Nurmagomedov versus Dustin Poirier. Let me tell you what, man. Khabib is a bad man. He choked out Dustin Poirier in the 3rd round via rear naked choke, RNC. Khabib dominated this fight, man. You'll be hard-pressed to find him losing a round in his career. Honestly, he's not even really been challenged too much. You can look at the Michael Johnson fight where he was rocked in that 1st round, I believe. Short of that, man, he's always come back. I know Dustin had him in a compromising position. I think it was in that third round, and Khabib just reversed him, and next thing you know, Khabib's choking him out. He's now 28-0, and honestly, pound for pound, you can make a case that he's the best. I mean, you could talk John Jones being the best, which I don't think anybody would blame you. But I tell you what, man, it's hard not to put Khabib in that spot. Let's talk about this for just a little bit, Joe, because typically we do boxing, but when a big UFC fight comes on, we do that too. What are your thoughts? I mean, do you think John Jones is pound for pound, or do you think Khabib is pound for pound?
I'm gonna say at this particular time, because I am a huge John Jones fan. I love the way he fights.
Yeah, I do too.
I think Khabib has more opponents really to shine against than John Jones does, because now the Cormier fights is out the window. For John Jones to solidify the spot, I mean, obviously the conversation is going to be either John Jones or Khabib. But for John Jones to really solidify it, in my opinion, I think he needs to fight Stipe. I think he needs to move to heavyweight and fight Stipe and beat Stipe.
Yeah.
Like Cormier did.
Yeah, I think so.
Because at a particular time, you can make an argument that Cormier was in the conversation as well. Because, I mean, he beat a guy that was pretty much the best, who was looked upon as the best heavyweight of all time in UFC history, in Stipe Miocic. So I think Khabib has better opponents. Like, Khabib can fight Conor again. He can fight Tony Ferguson. Who's John Jones really gonna be able to fight to really have that standout fight? Because Khabib has more, intriguing fights that lay ahead of him, more so than John Jones, in my opinion. So at this particular time, I'm gonna edge it to Khabib. I'm gonna edge it to Khabib because I think Khabib looks a little bit more dominant than John Jones. Because look at John Jones' last performance. That was a split decision against a guy that had his knees. His knee was like, I think just about every ligament in his knee was torn up, and he still almost won the fight.
It was a good fight. It was
a
real
phenomenal
good fight.
Yeah. So John Jones, showed a little bit of vulnerability in that fight. Khabib hasn't shown vulnerability in a long time.
I can't remember him showing vulnerability. I mean, the one thing you can point to, in which made the Conor McGregor fight so interesting, was Khabib's chin. Because I go back to that Michael Johnson fight when he was rocked, but him and Conor get into it, and then he rocks Conor, and takes him down and just strangles him at will.
Yeah.
And he does the same thing to everybody. I mean, everybody knows it's coming, and they can't stop it. You got Conor McGregor rematch. You could throw Nate Diaz in there. You could throw who is it? Tony Ferguson, like you said, El Kakui. You can throw him in there. And then the rumor is that he wants to fight GSP, George St. Pierre, at 155.
That'd be a good fight, yeah.
And I mean, so the only way, to me, if John Jones goes to heavyweight and beats Stipe, that's a hard argument too. I mean, from light heavyweight, making that jump and beating the heavyweight like that, especially as big as Stipe is, that's a tough argument, man.
But I mean, he had the first fight with Gustafsson. That was a real tough fight that could have gone either way.
Yeah.
The Thiago Santos fight, I had John Jones barely winning that. I thought he eked it out.
It was a tough fight, man.
But Santos, wow.
Yeah,
to be able to do what he did. I guess he had a torn ACL, PCL, MCL. They were just reading off the whole freaking anatomy of the knee, and I don't think there was a piece of cartilage or ligament in that knee that wasn't torn up.
Right, exactly, man.
I mean, how do you rehab that now? He's going to be out for at least 8 months, right?
Forever. Yeah, I don't know, man. They got to have some surgeon come in there and perform some magic, man.
Every possible conceivable injury to the knee that could happen, Santos suffered it.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
And he probably went into that fight already damaged. It's not like there's no way he did all that damage in that one night.
I would have a hard time believing that. Yeah.
So he was in there with a guy who was not 100%. A guy that was, with a deficient knee. And Santos did some damage in that fight, man. Wow.
Yeah. It's craziness, man. But it sounds like there's, I mean, if you look at it, man, there's a lot of good MMA fights on the horizon too. So yeah, I mean, I like watching them, man. I like watching MMA. I mean, I'm more of a boxing guy than MMA, but yeah, I like all of it, man.
We're casual MMA fans.
We're definitely casual MMA fans.
Yeah. We'll watch Cormier, Stipe,
yeah,
Khabib, Conor.
Right. If a fight card comes up, maybe like a UFC fight card, maybe I watch it. Maybe I don't. But you always have your favorites, you know.
Amanda Nunes is a definite.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. She's amazing, right? She's got to be the best woman fighter on the planet.
Of all
Fighter,
time.
period. All time.
Of all time.
Who's better? Who's
Nobody.
better? She's beaten everybody they put in front of her, man.
Nobody.
Who's better? Yeah.
Nobody.
All right. Let's talk about the upcoming fights this weekend. All right. So, Friday the 13th. I heard it's going to be a full moon on Friday the 13th also. On DAZN, Devin Haney versus Zaur Abdullayev, 12 rounds for the vacant WBC interim lightweight title. Beeb, this is for the vacant interim WBC lightweight title. Why don't I just get a belt on eBay? Why don't we just get a belt on eBay and just save us the trouble? I mean, I don't understand.
Well, Lomachenko just won the official WBC title.
Yeah, what is it? Why do we need an interim?
Why do we need an interim? Like, is Lomachenko hurt?
Right?
I mean,
I know he's medically suspended, but most people are after their fights. I mean,
is he going to be out for an extensive period of time? I mean, he's already said he wants to unify. He wants to fight the Comey Lopez winner.
Yeah,
and unify the titles. He's ready. He's ready to jump right back in there. So like, it's not like he's hurt. He's out. You know, he's taking a leave of absence or whatever. You know, he's on sabbatical. He's still here. He just won the title.
Well, who's got the WBC TV title? Who's got that one? The WBC National Heavyweight title? You know, I mean, it's like WWF. You know,
get one of those green WBC belts and spray paint the NWO on it. Just make your own. You know, become your own champion, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
The New World Order WBC champion.
That's right. That's right.
It's ridiculous.
Devin Haney, my opinion, man, Devin Haney should walk this fight. No questions asked. Devin Haney, you know, to me, he looks like the goods, man. He looks like the next guy.
Well, not to change the subject and not to bring up old arguments now, but is Devin Haney a champion if he wins this belt, or is he a belt holder?
Let me ask you a question, and I always go back to this.
Sure.
He would be the interim champion, and
Correct.
I always ask you the question: if you held a WBC or IBF or whatever interim belt, would you introduce yourself as Joe Habib, the WBC belt holder, WBC interim belt holder, or would you introduce yourself as the WBC interim champion?
Well, I'd probably call myself the WBC interim champion, but I'm gonna. but you know what? But you know what? I'm also going to be prepared for someone to say, "Well, what's that?"
You're right.
Right?
Yeah, I see your point.
It's not like I'm going to be able to say it and not have to explain myself.
Well, you know what? You're right.
Would you rather have Lomachenko's belt?
Oh, no question.
And not have to explain yourself?
No question. I'm the WBC lightweight champion. Yeah, no questions.
That's great.
Hey, we know what you are.
So you say someone says like, "Oh, I'm the interim champ. I'm the lineal champ. I'm the emeritus champ." What's that? What's that?
The emeritus champ. Yeah, they got it.
Can you explain to me what that is?
Yeah.
So
Isn't Mikey champion in recess or emeritus champion or something
whatever.
like that?
So
it's crazy.
Okay, I'm going to introduce myself as the interim champion with the expectation that somebody is going to ask me what an interim champion is and what he does.
Right.
So,
Touche.
Right?
Now, on the undercard here, this is a very good undercard here. This is interesting. Interesting fight, man. Heather Hardy versus Amanda Serrano. 10 rounds for Hardy's WBO women's featherweight title. That's a good fight.
Yeah,
I
like Heather Hardy.
I do too.
It's hard to not root for someone like Heather Hardy, man.
Yeah, for sure. Michael Hunter, heavyweight, versus Sergey Kuzmin, 10 rounds, 10 rounds heavyweights. That should be a pretty good fight too. Let's see what else here. All right. On Saturday the 14th from Las Vegas on ESPN Plus. Beeb, it's the fight of the week. It's the fight of the week, man. It's the fight of the week.
Oh, God.
Your boy, Tyson Fury versus
man.
Otto Wallen. 12 rounds for Fury's. This is listed. This is not me. This is listed on ESPN. 12 rounds for Fury's lineal heavyweight title. They printed lineal heavyweight title. Make no mention that he's been gone, that he left for 3 years and then just came back and is now the guy again.
That's like standing in the line. That's like standing in line at the supermarket and just like stepping out, and then 10 people jump in front of you, and then you think you're just gonna come right back and just go right back into the same position that you were in before you left.
I can go out, do all kinds of chores, come back next Tuesday and go back to the front of the line.
Imagine if you quit your job tomorrow, and then you came back 2 years later and said, "Hey, I'm the lineal IT guy. I'm ready to come back now. I'm ready to come back. I want the same benefits package, the same vacation time. I want a raise on top of it. I'm ready to come back." I'm the lineal IT. I'm the lineal IT director here.
That's me. I'm lineal. You got to take me back. I'm lineal. What am I going to do?
Come on.
Oh boy. We'll talk about that fight in just a second. On the undercard here, Emmanuel Navarrete versus Juan Miguel Elorde. 12 rounds for Navarrete's WBO junior featherweight title. On the undercard there, Jose Pedraza versus Jose Zepeda. 10 rounds junior welterweights. Carlos Cuadras versus Jose Maria Cardenas. 10 rounds junior bantamweights. And that's a good card.
That is
a solid card, and we'll come back to that here in a minute. Also, on Saturday, September 14th, from London on ESPN Plus, Brad Foster versus Lucian Reed, 12 rounds for Foster's British junior featherweight title. Sonny Edwards versus Hugo Rosendo Guarneros, 12 rounds flyweights. There you go. Also, on September 14th, from Carson, California, on DAZN, Jaime Munguia versus Patrick Alate, 12 rounds for Munguia's WBO junior middleweight title. Ryan Garcia versus Avery Sparrow, 10 rounds lightweights. And there we go. Let's see what else. And how about this? September 14th from Monticello, New York on Fight TV. How about that? Carlos Takam versus Craig Lewis, 10 rounds heavyweights. Anthony Laureano versus Brian Jones, 8 rounds junior welterweights. So there you go. That's a good fight. Listen, man, I'm a big fan of Carlos Takam.
I like Carlos Takam.
Always really good. He always fights really well. I like him. I like him a lot. A solid fighter, solid skill set. I like everything about him, man. He makes you look bad. And those are the kind of fighters I like to watch,
Yeah.
I like guys that can make you look bad.
He's going to be in your chest all night.
All night. All right, so let's talk about your boy here, Tyson Fury versus Otto Wallen, 12 rounds for the lineal heavy. But the belt is on the line. The Mayan belt. The WBC has stepped in and said, you know what? We're going to put the Mayan belt on the line for Fury and Wallen. How about this? How about this? How about this? This right here is the main event for Mexican Independence Day weekend. It's not Leonard. Fault. It's not Leonard Hearns one. It's not fault. Floyd Mayweather De La Hoya. It's Fury and Wallen. What? Come on, man.
I already told you. I already told you when this deal was signed that I wasn't excited about it, and my greatest fears. Yeah. They came to reality, right?
That's it.
They came to fruition. My greatest fears, right?
Refresh everybody's memory now. Your qualm was with Tyson Fury signing with Top Rank because what? Top Rank has no real heavyweights to speak of. Yeah.
There's no fighters for him to fight over there, and that's number one. And number two, they gave him so much money, guaranteed supposedly. I don't know how much it is. I asked Bob Arum if the $100 million offer was
right.
The the $100 million deal was real. He said no. But I'm sure he's getting paid handsomely to fight guys like Otto Wallin and the likes, of him. So, and going back to that interview that his brother had when they were interviewing his brother, Shane Fury, and they were talking about, when's he going to fight this guy, when's he going to fight that guy, and Shane Fury came right out and said he doesn't have to fight these guys when he's getting paid what he's getting paid, to fight the guy, to fight guys like that he's fighting right now. He doesn't have to fight named fighters to make big money anymore. So why should he do it? That was coming out of Shane Fury's mouth. So that leads me to believe that I'm sure Tyson Fury, I'm not sure, I can't guarantee it, but I suspect very strongly that he was talking to his brother Shane, and he maybe uttered those same words out of his mouth too. So I'm still skeptical on whether or not this fight with Wilder comes off in February, like they're talking about. And now Wilder's even saying that he would rather fight the winner of Joshua Ruiz. And this is another thing that I was very, very, very critical of. Wilder mapping out those next two fights against Ortiz and against Fury, which I think the Fury fight stylistically is a nightmare for Wilder.
Yeah.
And I think he matches up much better against Joshua or Ruiz. I think he would fare better against that style as opposed to Fury's style, because I think Fury's the best heavyweight in the division. So he's going to fight the toughest fight that he could possibly fight in the division and probably make some decent money. But would it be safe to say that he would make more money fighting the winner of Joshua Ruiz than he would be fighting Tyson Fury? So why did he map out this fight with Ortiz and this fight with Fury before knowing what Joshua was going to do or what Ruiz was going to do, whatever? Why did he map his career out and get his schedule set so far in advance? Because anything can happen in this division. So now he's taking the toughest fight possible, but he's not going to be making the most money possible that he could be making. So that was a horrible mistake in my opinion. I think that was bad management. Whoever orchestrated that and came up with that plan, I think they made a grave error. I think they made a grave error because they're leaving money on the table. Because I feel if I was managing Wilder, I would feel much more confident of his chances against Anthony Joshua or Andy Ruiz than I would against a Tyson Fury. I mean, you fought a Tyson Fury that was off almost 3 years, who wasn't in the best possible shape. I mean, he came back and he was miles ahead of what he the starting point when he first came back. Obviously, lost a lot of weight or whatever, but his body wasn't acclimated to losing all that weight. It was still trying to get adjusted to being, the lighter weight again. Well, now he's been this weight for a while now, so the body's acclimated. Now he's, back, and he's been clean for a while now. So now a lot of the residual effect of the long layoff and the abuse that he did to his body, most of that's gone now. So, we said, both you and I said that even a 75% Fury, we thought he was that good enough that he would be able to beat, a Deontay Wilder. That's 100%. So now you're going to have a Tyson Fury that's going to be well above 75%, probably 100%, probably as close to that Klitschko Tyson Fury that we've seen, right? So I think Wilder's chances may be slimmer. But then you could also argue that maybe Wilder took him lightly in the first fight. Maybe Wilder will, be a little bit more motivated for this rematch. But with that being said, we can both agree that stylistically, Fury is a horrible matchup for Wilder. It's a horrible matchup for any heavyweight in this division.
Anybody.
So now I think they're starting to realize that this was a mistake, because now they're trying to get Fury to step aside now so Wilder could fight the winner of Ruiz-Joshua. But this all could have been avoided if you just, negotiate one fight at a time. I hate these, we're going to fight this guy and then we're going to fight this guy next. Because we saw what Roy Jones did that when he fought Danny Green, and then he had the Danny Green fight lined up, and then he had the Bernard Hopkins fight lined up after that. He ended up losing the Danny Green fight. Now, he still fought Bernard Hopkins, But more often than not, when you lose, you don't get that second fight. So it just puts a lot of pressure on yourself that doesn't have to be there. Take the one fight at a time.
Did he sign 2 fights, though? Because we haven't even heard. I mean, has the Ortiz fight even been announced?
They're saying that's going to happen in November.
Yeah, and this is what we hear. Again, we hear this.
They had a date. I think WBN said November 17th or something like that.
Right, and I got that he's going to fight Ortiz next. I get that. But we don't know who he's going to fight after that. Because I don't think it's been set. Because Tyson Fury is saying, oh, it's set. But Tyson Fury says a lot of crazy stuff.
Well, Bob Arum said that that they have an agreement.
Yeah, maybe. But I can guarantee that if Ruiz handles Joshua the second time around, that agreement is going to be worth a squat. Because that's where Wilder's going next. And of course he will. Because he would much rather fight for the unification than the lineal. That doesn't exist, unless he wants to put his Mayan belt on the line after he beats Wallen. But that's the thing, man. He's not going to it's not going to matter. It's if Ruiz wins that fight, he's going to be next for Deontay Wilder. No questions asked.
So you think that they're going to sidestep Fury?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. They'll sidestep Fury. They're in the same camp. Jason, thank you so much, man. He's been, wow, this is twice now. Look at that. He says, God bless Godfather Alan Heyman. There you go.
Are we going to read his other one, or is that a little bit
I already did. I posted it up there.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, we posted it up there already.
I just want to let it be known that I don't co-sign that Ring IQ is.
I don't co-sign that either. I don't co-sign that either.
I have a lot of respect for Ring IQ.
Ring IQ, I love you. You're a good man.
Even when I disagree with Ring IQ, I still have respect for him because he articulates his points very well, and
Absolutely.
He debates with logic and intelligence, not
our
with
chat,
not with emotion.
I tell you what, if you haven't known, our chat is brutal. Our chat is brutal to each other. They're brutal to us, but we love them. There you go. Reese Mack asked a good question here. If Andy beats AJ, he said, I think he's fighter of the year. Would you second that if Andy beats him?
100%.
Right?
He's fighter of the decade.
I mean, if Buster Douglas would have beaten Tyson twice, I mean, and I know fighter of the year usually has to fight 3 times to be. Listen, I think that's a no-brainer, man. I think he beats he flatlines Joshua twice. That's game over, man.
Yeah.
There's no reason to collect anything. I mean, he you shouldn't even have a count at that point. So there it is, man. Insane. All right, so we're both picking Tyson Fury for that one, right?
I would say so.
You're not going to roll with Otto Wallen? No, you're not rolling with him, huh? That's cold-blooded, Beeb.
Oh my God,
cold fish, man. We may do, and what is that? That's Saturday. We may do a fight cast for that.
Yeah, we could do a live fight cast for that.
We might do a fight cast for that, but I got to have that surgery thing on Friday for my tooth. I got to have my tooth pulled. I got to go under for that. So I don't know if I'll be in any shape on Saturday.
Don't worry about it. I'll do it. I'll be here for you, brother.
There you go, man. I appreciate that. Carlos Cuadras in the mix and Jose Pedraza in the mix on that undercard as well, which makes it pretty good. Let's talk about the other one here. Jaime Munguia versus Patrick Alate, 12 rounds for Munguia's WBO junior middleweight title. Munguia's been showing a lot of flaws as of late, and I don't know if it's just a product of them pushing him too quick, or he kind of is who he is.
Well, weren't they supposed to move him up to middleweight?
They were talking about him fighting Canelo, and I said, man, that's a bad matchup for him.
But even if he didn't fight Canelo, shouldn't they have moved him up against somebody?
Yeah, I think so.
He's
having a hard time at fighting junior middleweight.
He can't make 154 anymore.
No. That's a tough fight. I mean, that's anybody he fights now at 154 is going to be a difficult fight for him, just because of that weight thing. He's having a hard time making it.
100%.
So that's a tough one, man. Ryan Garcia on that undercard versus Avery Sparrow. I'm not 100% sure, and I don't know. Ryan, this should be a walkover for Ryan Garcia. No,
I would say so.
This is the squash match. This is one of the WWE squash matches. What did you say? This was King Kong Bundy and SD Jones or something like that?
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, that's a
Salvatore Bellomo.
That's right, Salvatore Bellomo. I remember
Salvatore
him.
Bellomo versus Jimmy Snuka.
Yeah, that's right. Sweet Hansen versus whoever,
Versus the Brooklyn Brawler.
Right, exactly. How disappointed are you on Mexican Independence Day weekend that on paper we don't have like a blockbuster out there?
It's Canelo's fault.
Right? It is,
Canelo,
right? There's no two ways about that.
I blame Canelo 100%.
Yeah. There's no two ways about that.
I'm sorry.
But but nobody else stepped up. And part of the reason nobody else stepped up is because it happened so late in the game.
Because they thought Canelo was going to.
Right. And you're not, listen, man, if you're a promoter, you're not putting anybody up against Canelo.
No, there's no
way. That's suicide.
No way. He's the biggest star in the sport by far.
Yeah, exactly.
Close.
So you're not putting anybody up against Canelo in there. So I think that, to me, that's the big cause here. And it's been, when was the last time we can remember on Mexican Independence Day weekend that there was nothing? I mean, and not that these fights are nothing, no blockbuster fight. You remember the first Leonard fight, the first Leonard Hearns fight was on Independence Day. Every September 16th, there's always a big fight. And there is no big fight now. Let's talk about, what about the WBC's decision to strap up Tyson Fury with the Mayan belt if he beats Otto Wallen, which everybody thinks is a foregone conclusion? But what about that? What are you doing? Why would you? I don't get that.
What's Wallen, German?
Yeah, I think he is. I don't know. No, I don't think he is, actually. Hold on.
Or Swedish or something? What is he?
I think he's Swedish or something like that.
Something like that. I apologize to Wallen.
Listen, and truth be told, Otto Wallen could would kick the crap out of me. No questions asked.
No, I understand that.
So,
I just don't want to disrespect his nationality. I don't know what he is.
Right.
But I know he's Eastern European of some sort. Right? Or European of some sort. And I know Tyson Fury's from Great Britain.
Yeah.
So what does that have to do with the Mexican Independence Day? Like how do you connect that to creating a Mexican belt for two European fighters? Like I don't understand it.
It's an odd thing. And the logical thing would be Jaime Munguia. But that wouldn't be logical because he's the WBO title holder,
Correct.
So Earthquake. I'll put that up here in a second as soon as it comes up. But yeah, I mean, that makes logical sense to go with the Mexican guy on Mexican Independence Day. But I mean, I don't know, man. I don't know. Yeah. It's just it's an odd thing. It's an odd fight to put a Mayan belt on, or a specialty belt. It just
doesn't fit the occasion.
No, it doesn't. Not at all. Not even a little bit. And I know that Tyson Fury is ranked by the WBC, and that's the fight they want. They want the Wilder fight and everything like that. I get it.
It's like serving ham at a bar mitzvah. It just doesn't fit.
It's true. I never thought about it like that. That's right. Earthquake said Eric would wash Otto Wallen. Let's be honest. I didn't want to say anything.
He's wash his clothes.
Wash his car. That's about it.
Car.
That's about as close as
his laundry.
That's right. Oh my goodness. All right, so let's get to the news this week. This was real interesting, and this kind of came across the wire late last week, and then we got obviously there's been rumors about it and everything like that, but it kind of came across the wire last night from Mike Coppinger, and this is pretty interesting, man. So Canelo is going to fight Sergey Kovalev, according to Coppinger. Now, Mike Coppinger is reporting that Canelo Alvarez and Sergey Kovalev are finalizing a deal to fight on November 2nd for Kovalev's WBO light heavyweight title. The fight will take place on DAZN and be held in Las Vegas. First, it was reported that they were going to be at T-Mobile. T-Mobile's taken that day. So It's going to have to be somewhere else in Vegas. I don't know, Beeb. I think they can find a place for it, but
they'll find a place for it.
They'll find a place for it, yeah. Just a side note, if you guys want to call in or ask questions, it's 323-870-3857 on the bottom of the screen. If not, that's okay too. I can talk for forever, man. Me and Beeb can go at it forever. So let's talk about this for a second here. Is this is a big fight if it comes off? Number one, do you think it comes off?
Yes.
I think it probably comes off too. But on paper, when you first hear this, you're like, oh my God, this is awesome. And then you start thinking about it. I think this is a walkover fight. This is an easy fight for Canelo.
I don't know if it's an easy fight. It's a very winnable fight. But I don't think it's going to be easy because I think Kovalev's jab will present problems in the first couple rounds.
You think so?
Yeah, because Canelo doesn't start fast anyways. He's not a fast starter. But I think after the fourth or fifth round, then you'll start to see Canelo really start to do some damage. Because Kovalev always has that little rough patch in the middle rounds. We saw it against Yard in the seventh and eighth round. He had two tough rounds and he almost got knocked out in the eighth. And that's when he started having problems with Ward. He got knocked out in the second fight in the eighth round. And even in the sixth, seventh round, that's when the fight turned against him when Ward fought him the first time. So, and we do see how Canelo likes to kind of feel his opponent out, kind of start off slow in the beginning of the fight. So I think the fight will be interesting in the first 5 or 6 rounds, but after that, then you'll start to see Canelo really start to do some damage to the body. You really start to see those body shots starting to pay dividends for him, and making the deposits, making those big deposits there, and I don't think Kovalev will be able to deal with that as time goes on. And Kovalev, we got to give him credit because he suffered a horrible eighth round against Yard. Looked like he was going to be taken out, but he had the wherewithal to come back in the championship rounds of that fight, and he actually won the last 3 rounds of that fight, and arguably the last 4 rounds of that fight to be able to pull it off. So maybe Kovalev has a little bit left in the tank. I think maybe people are selling Kovalev a little bit short because a lot of people didn't even think he was going to beat Yard. I thought he would. Now I'm going to pick Canelo in this fight, but like I said, I don't think it's going to be. I'm not necessarily going to say it's going to be a walkover. I think Canelo will get the stoppage, but I think it will be late. I think it will be probably in the 9th or 10th round.
I think Canelo flatlines this guy in 8 rounds.
Yeah.
I think under 8 rounds. I don't think it's close. I think
Yeah.
I think Canelo's going to be way too
moments?
fast.
You don't think Kovalev's going to have any moments in this fight?
No.
No.
I don't think Kovalev's going to have any moments at all.
So what do you think it is? Is the hand speed of Canelo is going to be the biggest problem for?
It's the footwork of Canelo is going to give him the biggest problem.
Yeah. Well, Canelo doesn't have the fastest feet in the world, but he's got really fast hands. But
No,
Canelo has
but-
learned how to. Canelo has learned how to cut the ring off very well.
Exactly. And he's learned how to box. And if you watch the angles he gives you and everything like that, he can disappear while standing in front of you.
Yeah, because
You know what I mean?
Canelo is good at anticipating. He's good at He's good at reading what's in front of him. His mind goes very fast.
Yeah.
As Virgil Hunter once said about Andre Ward, he processes things very quickly. I think you can throw Canelo into that same class of fighters that processes things really quickly. And a lot of what he does is based off of timing too, obviously, because he's not the fastest guy on his feet, but his hands are very, very quick. You can even see in that Golovkin fight that his hands were much quicker than Golovkin's, I thought, in both those fights.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think that's, to me, man, and Kovalev is on the dark side of his career. I don't think there's any question about that. He's not the same Kovalev that, pre-Andre Ward.
He's 100% turning the corner.
He's definitely turning that corner.
Yeah.
And this, listen, man, Canelo's going up in weight 15 pounds. I get that. Doesn't matter. I don't think it matters at all. I think that the combination of his footwork, his speed, his ability to avoid punches, and the big, that big key, body work, which, listen, man, if you don't like it to the body, this is the wrong guy to be fighting. This is the absolute worst guy you can possibly fight if you don't like it to the body.
I agree.
And Kovalev, does not like it to the body.
Not at all.
Not even a little bit. If you thought, and Andre Ward worked on him for a couple of rounds before you started to see that in that second fight?
Yeah.
What do you think Canelo's going to do to him?
And
Canelo's going to walk right through this guy, man.
Yard was having a lot of success with the body shots in the 7th and 8th round.
In the 7th and 8th round, when you go rewatch that, when he finally went to the body in the 7th and 8th round, you'll see a big, big difference, man. And you saw a different Kovalev.
Woulda, coulda, shoulda, but if Yard didn't punch himself out, he'd be champion today.
Yeah.
It's a big if, but.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, when what was it, the 8th round? That 8th round.
Yeah.
That 8th round, when we were watching that, and he didn't finish him.
Yeah.
And you could see the inexperience for Yard because he threw all caution to the wind and just let everything go. And he was tired already. He was breathing heavy around that 5th round.
Yes, he was.
And he was tired already.
He was.
And you know what? You talked about, and we talked about it leading him to the fight. We didn't know how real it was. I'll be honest with you. I still don't know how real it is. Where his trainer said that Yard didn't spar for the fight. They took a different route. They didn't spar at all.
I don't believe that.
If they didn't spar for that fight, him getting tired is a natural result from that.
100%.
Because cardio, it doesn't translate. You can run and everything like that, but it doesn't translate to the same as fighting. They're different things.
Whether he spars or not, I think we could probably come to the conclusion that maybe sparring isn't really a priority in that camp. It's not the focal point of that camp.
Yeah.
Right?
Maybe so. I think, maybe we can come to that for sure.
Yeah. It's like Eubank Jr. He had a hard time. He didn't spar a lot during his training camps either because he couldn't really find sparring partners.
Yeah.
Because he was training himself.
Did you hear, speaking of middleweights and everything like that, did you hear that Danny Jacobs, and again, this is a rumor, so take it with a grain of salt, that Danny Jacobs and is in talks with Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. to fight?
I did not hear that, no.
I read that somewhere, and I don't know, take it with a grain of salt, again, this is news and rumors.
Yeah.
Big rumor, so, I don't know, but that's not a... Chavez always, if it is true, Chavez always seems to land on his feet.
Yeah, he always lands a big fight.
He does.
Guy doesn't go away. He's like freaking Jason.
He really,
he's like Jason
exactly.
He's like Jason for Friday the 13th. He doesn't go away.
Right. That's the thing, man. It's he always lands on his feet. He always gets a big fight. He's like Bronner. He's like Adrian Bronner. Yeah. Where he always gets a big fight because he's a crowd favorite. People like him. People want to see him fight no matter what. No matter what the situation is, they want to see him fight. So Mike Hoppinger also said that the fight is scheduled to be announced, I guess, next week. Next week.
Wow.
Yeah.
What's it going to be on? DAZN, or who's going to televise
it?
Would
have to be. Yeah, they said it would be on DAZN. They said it would be on DAZN in Las Vegas on DAZN. So now, I guess that was a bone of contention because Kovalev's last fight was on what, ESPN?
ESPN.
My guess is that ESPN can't match what DAZN's matching.
No.
As far as putting on the fight, I mean, it's got to be a better deal over there, right?
Yeah.
So, what are you going to do, man? That's the thing, man. You never know. I mean, like I said, that's what's tough about, I thought it may have been a one of those things where it's difficult to put together because of the two networks and everything. This wasn't. I mean, if this is the case, it doesn't sound like it was that difficult at all.
Chavez Jr. still with PBC, right?
I believe so.
Yeah.
Jason in the chat, just let me know if Chavez Jr. is still in the PBC. He'll know.
Yeah.
He knows their whole roster, man. He's like an Al Heyman guy.
100%.
Oh my goodness, man. So next week they should be announcing it. But again, who knows? Who knows? This is coming from Coppinger, not me. Also too, so this week we had the Ruiz and Joshua press conferences. These were action-packed. I don't know about you, B, but I was on the edge of my seat for all three of them. It was action-packed. I couldn't get enough. I actually watched them twice, each one of them, this week. So each one of them I had to watch twice to make sure I didn't miss anything because I was so enthralled with the action. Said nobody ever. These were terrible. These were, listen, man, if you're promoting a fight, it was awful. And this was a three countries press tour.
Yeah.
Saudi Arabia, U.S., and Dubai, right? Or not Dubai, London.
New York.
I'm sorry.
New York, right?
Yeah, New York, London. And you know what they should have done? They should have took that press conference to L.A., not New York.
Yeah.
Why don't you take it to L.A.?
And
Why? Why would you take it to New York? Because that's where the fight was? No, you take that press conference straight to L.A.
For Ruiz's people.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ruiz's people are in New York.
And you do more than 3 cities. Why don't you do 6 or 7 or 8?
Well, I mean, because everybody would have fell asleep. That's why. I mean, are you kidding?
But here's the problem. Here's the problem. There's nothing wrong with 2 guys who have a lot of respect for each other. I get it. You know, these guys they don't have any animosity. There's really no bad blood. Andrew Ruiz's father says he's a huge fan of Anthony Joshua, always was, admires him as a fighter and as a person. And Anthony Joshua said the same thing about Andrew Ruiz. There's a lot of respect. There's a lot of admiration for each other as people as well as fighters. But you have to have, at some point, that competitive fire has to kick in.
Yeah.
You know, Andre Ward is probably one of the nicest guys on the planet. You know, but when it's fight time, and it came down to sitting down and talking about his opponent, it wasn't all lovey-dovey with Andre Ward. I mean, he would sit there and tell you, you know what, I respect this guy, but when we get in that ring, there's going to be no respect. I'm going to go in there and I'm going to do what I got to do. I'm not taking him lightly, blah, blah, blah. And you could see that there was a passion, there was a desire, there was a fire, in Andre Ward's belly. Like Andre Ward is one of the most competitive fighters I've ever seen. He just hated to lose. And I'm going to say something very, very controversial. It's going to sound stupid to some, but I'm not going to sit there and say Anthony Joshua likes to lose. No one likes to lose, but not everyone hates to lose.
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
I don't think Anthony Joshua hates to lose. It's not life or death to him. You know what I mean?
I see where you're going. Yeah.
The way he handled that last defeat, it was like, I'm not saying you have to be a sore loser. You have to pout. You have to scream and cry. But you can't be that happy about losing a fight. You can't be.
It was odd.
It was
an odd reaction.
It was odd. And I still just don't see that fire from Anthony Joshua. This guy just knocked you out. Like, you have to have some type of feelings for this guy that, you can't. It's one thing to respect the guy, but you still can't be lovey-dovey with this guy. You still can't be this friendly with somebody you're going to share the ring with, and that could change your future for the rest of your life. Because if you lose this fight, your career is never going to be the same. So you have to muster up some type of fire, some type of drive, some type of I don't know. I'm not saying you got to flip over tables, you got to call him names, you got to spit in his face, but you got to do something. You got to muster up some type of some type of competitive juice has got to start flowing, in other words.
Well, you also got to remember that you're selling the heavyweight championship of the world.
Yeah.
You're selling this.
Yeah.
You gave me absolutely zero reason to tune in.
Yeah.
You really did. I mean, if I'm a casual guy, you and I are degenerates. We're going to tune in no matter what. We're going to pay whatever it costs to watch this fight or whatever. You know, it's going to be on DAZN. I get it. You know, but we would pay $100 for this fight. It doesn't matter. All right, that's what we do.
You got to show some type of aggression, some type of, I don't know.
If I'm a casual guy, like casual MMA guy, you know, we're casual MMA guys, right? You'd pay to watch Conor fight?
Yeah.
Because he's you know, you believe like, oh my God, did you see him at the press conference? Did you see what he did? If I'm a casual boxing fan, I wouldn't go out of my way to watch this.
You got to show that you believe you're going to win, and you got to say it with conviction. You don't sit there and say the belts are going up in the air on December 7th, and whoever wins will grab them. It's like, no, you're supposed to say, I'm going to take those belts. Those are my belts. He's only holding them. He's only holding them for me.
Right, exactly.
You have to have some type of confidence, some type of you have to have some type of, you know, determined demeanor about yourself, some type of confidence. You got to border arrogance to an extent here.
Right.
You know?
That's the thing. I mean, and, you know, I didn't see that from either guy.
No,
you know, I saw a big love fest is what I saw for three press conferences. The one takeaway I will tell you that I took away from this is that, to me, Joshua did look a little bit more dialed in than he did in that first fight. He looked dialed in.
I don't know about that. To me,
well, you had a different opinion on this. That's why I bring it up, because this was interesting to me.
He looked kind of spacey to me. He looked a little bit uncomfortable. Joshua, to me, looks like he doesn't like doing these types of things. He doesn't like doing press.
Yeah. Right. He doesn't.
He always has that. Like Deontay Wilder loves talking to people. He goes to fights. He does like 20 interviews. He's not even on the card.
Wilder's amazing.
He's the biggest self-promoter I've ever seen in the sport.
Oh, he's awesome.
You know?
To talk to that guy is awesome.
Joshua just doesn't like to doesn't like to do PR. Doesn't like to do PR.
And you know what's funny about that? If you're a beginner, like if you've never interviewed anybody ever, Deontay Wilder is your best bet. You know what I mean? Because he will carry the interview for a half hour and just talk.
And when he talks, like he talks with fire, he talks with conviction, he talks with he's animated. That's the word I'm looking for. Like they're not animated, they're not excited. They're not excited to, you know, they're not enthusiastic about what they're doing.
Right.
It seems.
Yeah.
You know?
I agree.
Like no disrespect to Andy Ruiz, but he's sitting there, it's like, yeah, you know, I just want to go out there. I want to thank God. Nah, 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 nah. It's like, dude, like you sound like you're freaking like just reading off a freaking book or something. Like you're reading off a piece of paper. It's like you sound so scripted. Like say, like it's like, I don't know, man. Like you said, that just doesn't get me pumped up for the fight. No. But I am going to be pumped up for the fight once fight week comes around with 3 weeks away. But to your point, how do you sell this to casual fans who you're looking to who are potential future DAZN subscribers?
How do I get them How do I get them to buy into DAZN now? I don't know. I mean, because if I'm a casual guy, I don't care about that fight. I want to watch Deontay Wilder knock somebody silly. That's what I want. You know, that's what I'm going to pay to see.
Raphael Dawkins says Andy Ruiz is very charismatic. I think he's being sarcastic.
Yeah.
I think he's being sarcastic.
Let me tell you what I did notice at the press conference from Andy Ruiz is that he looks like he put on some weight.
Yeah.
He looked like he put on a significant...
about 30 pounds.
Yeah, he looked like he put on a significant amount of weight. And listen, man, that's not good. When you go up and down like that, because I imagine he's going to lose some for the fight. Yeah. And he's a big guy anyway. I get it. No problems, you know. But, you know, when you're putting on that weight like that, man, you don't want to come in like Buster Douglas.
No.
In that second fight, man, no. or that fight against Holyfield after that Tyson fight. You don't want to do that. You know, because, I mean, that was pretty like, wow, you know, you knew he had screwed up when he got on that scale.
But Ruiz has shown throughout his career to not be like really disciplined when it comes to conditioning and dieting and stuff like that. And he's been up around 300 pounds before. But again, the expectations are higher now. You're a champion now,
Right.
so now you got to behave like a champion. You got to train like a champion. You got to live like a champion.
Yeah.
So that I agree 100% to your point. But something I'm not really happy about, or I'm a little concerned about, if I'm a Joshua fan, is he looks like he lost too much weight to me. He looks flat.
How much weight did he lose? Was there a
I'm gonna be
number?
honest with you. He looks at least
20 pounds?
20 pounds lighter than
Looks
than
about
norm-
20
than-
pounds.
than normal. And you're talking about a guy that didn't have much body fat on him to begin with. So, what constitutes that 20 pounds? What is that 20
Muscle.
pounds? It's muscle.
No question. But you know what? I think that's good for him. I do. I think
I don't think so.
cardio-wise, you don't think it's better for him?
Not at all. Go back to
Really?
Roy Jones. What happened when Roy Jones went up to
Yeah,
heavyweight?
when he lost that. Yeah, when
Lost
he came
the
back
muscle?
down to Tarver. Yeah.
This is the thing, Eric. Okay, muscle, uses up a lot of oxygen, right? But also muscle carries a lot of blood, and blood carries a lot of oxygen. Okay, so the more muscle you have, the more blood goes to that muscle. Okay, and the more muscle you have, the more fast twitch fibers you have, the more explosiveness you have, the more strength you have. Okay, so we talked about this earlier, a couple weeks ago. Some guys have those short muscle bellies, and other guys have the long muscle bellies. Okay, doesn't matter changing the size of a short muscle belly or a long muscle belly, or changing the size of muscles in a guy that already has a lot of fast twitch as opposed to slow twitch. That's irrelevant. Okay, you can change the size, but you're never going to change the amount of fast twitch to slow twitch ratio. You're never going to change the short muscle bellies to the long muscle belly. So again, when you lose muscle mass, okay, you become weak. You become weaker because you don't have that explosiveness. You don't have that blood going to the muscle, which carries the oxygen, and therefore the oxygen gives you energy. So that's why guys who lose a lot of muscle become flat. So it's not like this guy lost bulk. He lost fat. He lost he downsized. He was too big. He wasn't too big for his frame. But this guy, I think he's going to be flat. And you're going to fight a guy who's heavy, who's going to be lying on you, and you're going to have to hold him on the inside. You need that weight to be able to grab the guy, hold him, and contain him on the inside, or you're going to get thrown around on the inside. So
we'll see. Yeah, we'll see.
I don't think by losing muscle, his stamina is going to get better. No, it's not.
What's better? If it was your guy, like if you were the manager of one of these two guys, gaining that 30 pounds, which it looks like Ruiz legitimately put on 20 to 30 pounds, or losing the 20, 30 pounds if you're Joshua.
Well, here's the thing. Andrew Ruiz is used to doing this. His body, and he's still in his 20s. He's still young, right?
Yeah.
Now, if Andy Ruiz was 35,
right,
I would say it would be more of a problem. Andy Ruiz is still in his 20s. He can get away with it for maybe 2 or 3 more years. Okay? Yeah. So his body's used to doing this. When have you ever seen Joshua this light before in recent years?
Not recently.
No,
not recently. But I've always thought Joshua was a little bit too heavy, though. I really have. Because he looks like a bodybuilder, man.
I agree with you. But what did I say? Maybe lose 7 or 8 pounds.
Yeah.
Don't lose 20. He looks like he's overtrained. He looks flat.
Yeah.
To me. I could be wrong. But I've seen it before. I've seen guys just lose a lot of muscle and you become flat. You don't have that blood flowing. You don't have that pump. You don't have that nitric oxide. You don't have that growth hormone. You don't have all those. It fucks with your excuse my language. It messes with your hormones.
Yeah.
When you lose a lot of muscle like that. Messes with your testosterone.
I tell you, it'll be interesting, man. Both guys got X factors now. I tell you what, that's what's interesting about it. They both have X factors now. So we'll see what happens. All right, let's go to the phones here from Santa Barbara. 805. You're live.
Hey, guys. What's up? It's me.
Hey, what's up, man?
Nacho, how you doing, buddy?
I'm good. Yeah, there wasn't a whole lot this weekend. You guys went over the only fight that was going on this whole weekend with Linares. I agree with you guys. Like, he had his moments where he looked okay, and he did what he was supposed to do, and he won. But yeah, he definitely struggled with this guy that he took on, who basically was just kind of like a journeyman guy that they brought in to make him look good. And he got cut and he got hit a few times where it looked like he got stunned. So it's definitely looking like the wear and tear is finally starting to catch up to Linares at this point. I think what they're going to probably try to do is just going to try to get him, one or two big fights as possible. And then I think eventually he's going to have to, call it quits because he's looking like he's losing a step for sure. And as far as like some of the other stuff that you guys were talking about, like the press conferences, I totally agree. I didn't understand why they didn't go to LA to do the press conference. That was kind of like, what do you need to go back to New York for, especially if you're not going to fight there at all for the rematch? Didn't really make any sense to me, but
Made no sense.
that's just that's just something that I was kind of like wondering, like, why would you go there? The fights this weekend, like, I'm not sure exactly what to think other than Petraza and Jose Cepeda. The rest of these fights are pretty much just kind of like, they're trying to make the star look good, and Fury taking on Wallen, and Jaime Munguia fighting some dude named Patrick Galati that I've never even heard of, who, when you look at his record, he's fought nobody to get those 40 wins. So that's really disappointing that they gave him that kind of a fight to, finish his run at 154, especially since they've already said that he's moving to 160 after this fight. The one thing I will be curious to see is that he apparently they got rid of Robert Alcazar, and they have Eric Morales training him now. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of wrinkles they threw into Munguia's game, if any at all, because I thought that Alcazar tried to teach him certain, add certain wrinkles to his game, but he just never really listened. He would, as soon as he would get hit, he would just start going to war with guys. And I think someone has to teach him how to box instead of always trying to go, for broke all the time and go to war with every guy, because that's not always going to work.
Jermaine Taylor 2.0.
And then Ryan Garcia. No, I don't think he's that bad, Eric, because I think Munguia will be moved. I think Munguia will be moved a lot slower than Taylor was. Taylor won the fight against Hopkins and was undisputed, and at that point he had no choice but to try to take on big names because he wanted the big paydays that came along with him being champion. I could see Munguia, now that he's going to move to 60, I could definitely see them really not throwing big names at him when he's at 60 before they eventually throw him in there with a big name. Because I think that's what he needs. He needs some more seasoning, because it seems like once he got the title, they just tried to get him out there as quickly as they could to try to milk it. And now that he's going to move up to 60, I definitely think that they're going to take their time with him at 60, because it doesn't sound like they're in a hurry to take on Canelo anytime soon, from what I've read and from what I've heard from his camp.
There's no way he's taking out Canelo. It's a big fight in Mexico, I think, but that's about it. I mean, that's a one-sided fight, man.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. I don't see him when he moves up to 60 fighting Canelo right away. I think they're probably going to give him at least a handful of fights before they even think about stepping him up to that level. So that's what I'm saying. I would be surprised if they went for a big name right away. But I have a feeling they're going to try to milk it as much as they can to get him a little bit, more seasoning at 160 for sure. And then you guys were talking about Davis moving up to 35. He's moving up to 35, he claims, not because he can't make 30, but he says that he can't get any big fights at 130.
Farmer. What about Farmer? Tevin Farmer.
It's like, yeah, I mean.
What about that?
Yeah, I mean, that whole back and forth.
What about Burchell?
Right. You had a billion fights down there.
Yeah, I don't know.
Hang on for a second. Hold on, Nacho.
Sure.
All right, so that's a good point. All right, so Tank Davis now moves up to 135 because he claims he couldn't get any big fights at 130. He left the Tevin Farmer fight on the table. They were negotiating that fight. He left it on the table. Now he's going to go up to 135. To what? To what? Fight Loma? You're not fighting Loma, son. That fight ain't happening.
No.
They're not even negotiating that fight.
Yeah, from what I...
He's going to fight Gamboa next. That's the fight they're going to make is Yuriokis Gamboa, who's, again, he's another guy who's rounded that corner, so they're going to put him in there with Tank. He's not fighting anybody, and they're doing. I tell you what, they're really doing Tank a disservice by fighting the guys who he's fighting. He should be fighting stiffer opposition at this point, and he's not, and he should be. For his development.
Yeah, exactly. You're just stunning his development as a fighter if you keep giving him these guys that he just rolls over. I mean, it's not going to help him when he actually does. To me, they're moving his career along like the way they did with Adrian Broner, where Broner was fighting all these dudes for belts and beating them easy.
Right.
But then as soon as he fought a guy like Marcos Maidana, what happened? He got rolled.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's going to end up happening to Davis. He's going to get rolled once he fights a legit fighter who's not going to go down from the first time Tank hits him.
Right.
But, that's Floyd. That's Floyd's prerogative. He's the promoter, and if Davis, signs up for the money and he allows him to guide his career, at the end of the day, whose fault is it? It's really Davis's fault because he's the fighter. He's the one who should care about the opponents that he gets, not just the paychecks that come attached to the tomato cans that he's been fighting lately. So if he eventually loses to somebody with a good name, then it is what it is. He took that risk of fighting nobodies until that happens. And what was I going to say? Burchell, I saw something about he's going to fight Jason Sosa on November 2nd, and they're talking about putting it on the undercard of the Canelo fight, which I thought was interesting because I didn't see that one coming. But they're talking about they might put that on there. Yeah, and I mean that's a decent fight if you end up putting it as a co-main. I wouldn't mind seeing that as a co-main. That'd be a solid scrap for Burchell and for Sosa because Sosa's looked a lot better recently, especially with his last fight a few weeks ago. So
for sure.
We'll see.
All right, Nacho, we're going to get running, man. We appreciate your call.
Right,
thanks so much, man.
Yeah.
Nacho always breaks it down, man. Always breaks it down. All right. 760. I believe it's San Diego, I believe. 760, you're live.
Hey, what's going on, fellas?
Hey, what's happening, man?
Hey, what's going on, guys? Hey, this is Brian.
Brian, how are you?
Brian, what's happening, brother?
All right, how you guys doing?
Good, man. Good.
Hey, man, I didn't really hear what you guys were saying about the Ruiz-Joshua. Who you guys got on the next one?
It's funny. We were just talking about how lackluster that press conference was, that press tour. And, Joshua looks like he's lost about 20 pounds. Ruiz looks like he's gained about 30 pounds. It's a tough one to call. It really is because they both look like they lack focus in a lot of. I think Joshua looks dialed in. Beeb says he thinks he's lacking focus and confidence. I don't know. My gut tells me Joshua in the rematch, but my gut also told me Joshua in the first fight too. So
I keep going back and forth with it, man.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, the press conference was pretty boring. Put me to sleep.
Yeah, for sure.
But, I mean, when they fought the first time, though, it was the same thing. I'm like, these dudes, they talking all nice and all that, and but the difference was Ruiz was dead serious, so Joshua kind of looked nervous to me. He didn't look nervous to you, Eric?
No, I thought, and to Beeb he did too. I thought he looked dialed in. I thought he looked like a guy on a mission. He looked.
I told Eric, Brian, this is why I told Eric.
Ruiz,
Brian, this is why I told Eric.
Nervous.
Brian, this is why I told Eric. I said to Eric, I said, Josh will look like he don't want to be there. He looks like he doesn't want to be there because he doesn't like doing stuff like that. So to me he looked uncomfortable.
Yeah.
That's my opinion.
Right. You guys think they might be rushing this, pushing this rematch? You think it's Joshua? You think it's
a lot of people?
What you think? You think you really want to take this fight?
A lot of people have criticized Joshua for coming right back in and taking this fight. A lot of people think that he should have taken a lesser fight, a confidence-building fight like Linares did this weekend. They say that he should have got a confidence fight before getting back into that lion's den. I'm not 100% sure either way. I mean, if it's his decision, it's his decision, but I'm not 100% sure this was all his decision. I think Eddie Hearn had a lot to do with it because he knew once those belts are gone, they're gone. Good luck getting them again. You're going to get a piece of them, but you're not going to get all of them again.
My whole thing is this: if he didn't take this fight, he would have got frozen out for a while. So
yeah, he absolutely would have.
I don't know though. You think so? He got that big fan base. He would have worked his way back in somewhere. He got a big fan base.
The PBC would have had all the belts, and they would have friggin' held them hostage, in my opinion. Ruiz would have fought Wilder. Wilder would have just kept fighting PBC guys.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
If Ruiz wins this time around, that's bye-bye titles from Matchroom. But it is and it isn't, because those titles are going to get fractured pretty quickly. Ruiz will fight Deontay Wilder for those titles, and I don't even know if he'll be able to do that because they have mandatories lined up for all those belts already. It'll probably take an act of Congress to get him to keep those titles if they're, to have one unified heavyweight champion. It's going to take an act of Congress, and I don't believe it'll happen.
I think so.
No time
it's
soon.
Really like it's a mystery of the future. It's a mystery of what's going on with what's going to happen with the future of the heavyweight division. It's a mystery.
Yeah. What do you remember? Let me ask you a question. Do you remember Don King when he had the heavyweight tournament with Mike Tyson? And then at the end of it, they were going to have the one undisputed champion. That was, Tyson ended up winning it, obviously. But that was one promoter who had all the belts, right?
Yes.
So, I mean, it's hard to do, man. It's a very hard thing to do.
Yeah. Well, who knows? Maybe Joshua will get the win. I don't know. Maybe that, because he does look nervous to me. But sometimes, that you can use that nervousness, you know what I'm saying, in a positive thing, or that can be negative. But I don't know. He don't really look comfortable at the press conference to me. These dudes, they talking all nice and all that. I didn't know what was going on. I'm like, man, I thought it was going to pick up when they went out there to New York. I was tripping on why they even went to New York. I thought they was going to do a press conference in L.A. or something, but they didn't go to L.A. They went to New York.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what Eric said.
Yeah, that was crazy.
It was boring, but the Sean Porter and Earl Spence, though, I'm excited about that. You guys talk about that?
Well, we're going to be talking about that next week, I think. I think we'll be previewing that fight in a couple weeks. But that fight's
like 3 weeks away, man.
Yeah, it's a good fight, though,
Tyson Fury, he's fighting next weekend?
Tyson Fury's fighting next week.
This weekend, Otto Wallen. Next weekend, Otto Wallen.
Coming up?
Yeah. So
he's fighting on Saturday.
Okay, who is Otto Wallen? Who is this?
Your guess is as good as mine.
Can you tell me? Can you explain to me who he is? I don't know. No disrespect. I don't know.
That's your boy, ain't it?
Otto Wallen or Tyson Fury?
Tyson Fury's my man. I like Tyson Fury, man. But I already criticized the ESPN deal. I wasn't happy about it. I wasn't happy about the ESPN deal because I knew this was going to happen.
Yeah, right.
I told everyone this was going to happen. People told me to shut up. Man. You don't know what you're talking about, Beeb. Stop being a hater. Now we're all haters, right? We're all haters, right?
That's it, man.
Hopefully, maybe they get the fight between. I mean, Wilder's saying Ortiz next, and then he's saying Fury next. I think with the with the whole thing with Ortiz, maybe they might announce that after Earl Spence and Sean Porter fight or something. Maybe they don't, maybe it's too much attention that'll be on that fight. I don't know.
I heard that fight was going to be November 16th.
About that fight either.
I heard that fight with Ortiz is going to be November 16th. That's what I heard. I don't know how true it is.
Yeah, I haven't heard nothing, no date.
Yeah.
At first they said it was going to be out here in L.A., and then they said it was going to be in Vegas. Did they say where it's even going to be at?
I don't know where it's going to be. I think it's going to be in New York.
Was that the Wilder Ortiz fight?
Yeah, I think it's going to be in New York.
It'll be in New York.
Yeah.
It'll probably be at the Barclays.
Yeah. They've got that locked up, PBC does, right?
Yeah, Wilder does well down in Barclays.
That's almost like his home away from home. He does better there than he does in Alabama.
He does.
A lot better.
It's more of a fight town. That's why.
Where they fought. Yeah. They fought the first time in New York, right?
Yeah. They'll do the rematch in New York, I would think.
I thought they was going to be at the Staples Center right up the street. I thought I was going to go to that fight, man. Why they changed it? What happened?
I don't know.
Am I tripping, or didn't they mention something about?
No, the Fury fight was at the Staples Center. But I don't know, man. I don't think this fight. No, I know you want to see it, but I think it makes more sense to put it in New York, man. To be honest, I'm sorry, Brian.
Oh, okay. But what you say, I couldn't even hear you.
I said the Fury fight was at the Staples Center. Was you at that one live? Did you go to that one?
No, I didn't even get to go to that one.
No, you didn't go to that one?
I thought they said that the Ortiz and Wilder was going to be out here, though. But I guess they changed it, though. But, yeah, back to Fury. Where's the Fury fight going to be, in Vegas? That one's going to be in Vegas, right?
Yeah, that's going to be in Vegas. There you go.
How do you think that's going to be? You think people just going to go out of their way to just stop and go check this dude out to fight this nobody or what? I mean, he ain't a nobody.
Nope. I don't think it's going to do very well at all.
I don't see nobody going out of the fight. Right.
I think everybody there is going to be comped from the casino. You know, he's not really a big draw here. I mean, he's really not. I mean, it is what it is, but he's not that big of a draw. I think his last fight, what do you get? 5,000 people in his last fight? Beeb?
Something like that, yeah.
There's only 5,000 people in his last fight, so
something like that.
Yeah, it's not not good. All right, Brian, we're going to get running, man. There you go. All right, man. Thanks for calling in, man. We always love hearing from you.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Let's go to Baltimore. I think this is Coach C. Maybe
Wood. I think it's Wood.
Is it Wood? 443. You're live.
Yeah, this is Wood, man. What's going on, y'all?
Wood, how are you, buddy?
What's going on,
Wood? I was chilling, man. I was looking at some of these press conferences with Joshua. Joshua really don't want this shit, man. I could see it in his eyes, man. And Andy Ruiz said he picked up on it too. He said he could see a little fear in his eye. He could see a little fear in him, like he don't want to be there. It seems like Joshua, he that type of guy that just Joshua would rather be on the beach with his homeboy Greg the Stallion, walking, holding hands on the beach. He ain't into this fighting shit.
Who is Greg the Stallion?
I don't want to know. He's trying to extend his hot boy summer. He's trying to extend his hot boy summer, man.
Hot boy summer.
He's trying to extend his hot boy summer. You know what I'm saying?
I hear you.
It's like this shit. This is Eddie Hearn the cook all this shit up in his laboratory up in the Caucasus Mountains up in Europe somewhere. He wants these fucking belts, man. This is all Eddie Hearn's idea. This is all his shit. Come on, AJ. Come on, get those belts. You don't want him to get in Wilder's hands, do you? You don't want Wilder to get his hands on those belts. Come on, come on. It's Eddie shit, man. This is all Eddie forcing him to do this shit. And Robert McCracken don't know what the fuck he's doing, man. Robert McCracken do not know how to teach him how to fight big. How he gonna learn how to fight tall, fight long, all in a couple of months? How to hit, how to use that jab and hold him when he come in. AJ he likes to throw combinations, and he going to rewire his whole brain, become a whole different fighter. It's like trying to teach a counter puncher how to become a combination puncher coming forward. It's like it's trying to teach him how to be a whole different fighter. He likes to throw those. AJ likes to let those hands go, and now he gonna throw one punch at a time. I think soon as he get hit one good time, he gonna revert right back to throwing those motherfucking punches and get knocked and get caught again. He's not gonna be dancing and floating like a butterfly and all that type of shit. That's not his style. You understand what I'm saying?
I agree with you.
I agree.
I think.
Hello?
Yeah.
I agree with you.
That's not his style. He's not going to pick that up. He's not going to pick that shit up in a few months. It takes his whole brain's going to have to be rewired. It's not like that's not his damn style. Hitting that Klitschko type of style or that Lennox Lewis. Lennox Lewis was good at it. I can't see AJ fighting like that behind the jab, fighting behind the jab, just throwing that left, moving around, throwing that left. And he gonna get tired. If he try that shit, he gonna get exhausted doing that shit in the fight anyway. That's just not his. That's like Beeb said. He done lost too much muscle to fight like that. He should have, he should have lost like at least like 10 pounds, not no fucking 25 pounds. He ain't gonna have enough energy to pull this shit off. He gonna eventually have to sit there and fight. And Andy Ruiz had some of the fastest hands. You can go look at Holyfield. How Holyfield said, "I'm glad I'm retired. I wouldn't want to have to fight nobody with those fast ass hands." This kid got some fast ass hands, and AJ is extremely slow. He get hit in all his fucking fights. Slow Povetkin and all these slow motherfuckers hitting him. Man, he just fooled. They just picked the wrong motherfucking guy. That's Eddie's fault. They picked the wrong fucking guy. They should have picked somebody that suited his style more. They looked at this little fat motherfucker and said, "Oh man, this is gonna be a ball. AJ gonna knock his little fat ass out, and we gonna go back to the UK and have a ball." It ain't work out like that, y'all. It ain't work out like that. All right, man. Yeah. I don't want to hold it up. I want everybody else to get their time, man. That was my call, man.
All right,
everybody go check my channel out, man. Wood Stay Real TV, man. I got all kinds of videos about this bullshit, man, over and over again, man. Y'all hit me up, man.
Thank you, Wood.
All right, Wood. Thanks, Wood.
Thanks, Wood.
Wood. 804. I believe this is Corey. 804, you're live.
Hey, what's going on, guys? How's everybody doing today?
Pretty good, pretty good.
Hi, Corey Lee. How are you today, Corey Lee?
What's going on, Beebs and Eric? Robbie, what you're listening? What's up?
If you're listening.
If you're listening.
That's the only way he can get a hold of Robbie now. Hey, if you're listening.
I ain't heard from Robbie in a while, man.
You miss Robbie? You miss Robbie?
You miss him?
I ain't heard from him.
Well, he's going to be on Corey Lee Boxing from what I understand,
man,
right?
I ain't heard from him.
You putting him on, right?
Dude, you used to cut me off, man. It's kind of a breath of fresh air being able to talk now. But yeah, man, I hope everything going good with everybody, man. I want to touch on a couple subjects. I know y'all got callers. I ain't gonna stay too long, man, because I know y'all, because you got to finish the show by 9 now, right?
Route at 9. Out at 9.
Okay. So I'll make it quick, man. But yeah, man, shout out to everybody in the chats, man. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, man, Andy Ruiz, man, what I took back from this, man, AJ's fully dialed in. Wood had a good call. Shout out to Wood. Wood had a good call. But I really truly feel that Andy Ruiz is out of shape, man. You know what I'm saying? I mean, everybody can say what they want, about him being, not focused or focused. I truly believe that Andy Ruiz is slightly, not as focused as he was in the first fight, being that he got, a tune-up fight in between fighting Joshua and then went straight into fighting Joshua. It just worked out for him the best. A lot of these heavyweights are only fighting twice a year now. You know what I mean? And I think that's really damaging their career, especially if they're in their prime.
but Andy Ruiz, you know, being that he's been off, you know, he's going to be off, you know, what was that from June to what, December? What is that, like 5 or 6 months? You know what I mean? He's going to be inactive again. I think that actually helps Joshua more than Ruiz. You know, I still favor Ruiz slightly, but it's kind of like a catch-22, man. And what I mean by that is, like, when a guy is looking like he's on his game, like Joshua, but mentally, I don't think he was on his game. You know what I mean? You never know what a guy thinks, you know, in his head when it's fight time. You know what I mean? Just 1,000 things. You know, somebody could piss him off in the dressing room and throw him off the whole fight. You know what I mean? You just never know how these fighters tick. You know what I mean? I think the one thing about Andy Ruiz, he's even killed throughout everything. You did see in the Anthony Joshua versus Big Baby Miller press conference, he did get on his skin big time. I do think that Anthony Joshua needs to work on, you know, head movement and stuff like that. He's too stiff. I think he gets hit with the same punches, and it's ice season again. You know what I mean? I think Andy Ruiz will probably seal the deal in about the 9th or 10th round. Maybe even earlier, man. You know, you never know. This possibly could be candidate of fight of the year, man. I think the first fight is definitely could be a candidate of fight of the year, being both fighters been knocked down. But yeah, man, I wanted to touch on something that Beeb touched on, man, like a show or two ago, about the Tank Davis versus Lomachenko. I truly believe right now, you guys, Tank Davis beats Lomachenko, man. I'm sorry, man. I really do, man. Lomachenko gets hit way too much. If Tank Davis hits Lomachenko with those same shots, it's ice season all over again. You think Linares put him down with that shot? Try being hit twice as hard as Linares by Gervonta Davis, the Tank. And Gervonta Davis, you know what I'm saying? I'm out here at DMV. He has knocked down heavyweights in sparring. Okay? 200 plus pound grown men. This is a fact. Okay? I mean, I truly believe that when it's time, man, I just truly believe that Lomachenko will bite the dust, man. I really do, man. I really think Lomachenko's a very good fighter. I think he has awesome accolades. As you guys know, Usyk is my number one pound for pound fighter, my number one fighter in general. Pretty much Lomachenko's like a little brother to him. But, I really think that right now, if Tank Davis were to fight him in the next year or two, I really think that, Tank, it's just going to get better for Tank moving forward. If he can maintain his outside focus, you know what I mean? Because obviously Lomachenko's a full athlete through and through. Gervonta Davis does party. You know he does get in trouble from time to time. If he can keep the outside stuff to a minimal, I'm favoring Gervonta Davis, possibly stopping high-tech Lomachenko, man. That's my call, man. I just wanted to, get in here and get out. I know you guys got a lot of calls. I'm very respectful of that. Beeb, stop using excuses of Tyson Fury. He did not have to take that Deontay Wilder fight. You know what I'm saying? He did not have to take that. You saying he wasn't on weight? He wasn't right. You know what I'm saying? And all that. He had 2 or 3 fights. Leading up.
That wasn't the best Tyson Fury. That wasn't the best Tyson Fury.
I know.
That's all I'm saying.
All right, guys, we gotta wrap this up, man. We gotta go, man.
That's all I'm saying. That wasn't the best Tyson Fury.
All right, Corey, thanks for calling, man. Well, you're right. It wasn't the best Tyson Fury, and either way, I thought he won the fight. We had him winning pretty handily.
I still think he won the fight, regardless.
We had him winning pretty handily.
I don't have to make excuses for Tyson Fury. I thought he won the fight.
There you go. All right, quickly here. Let's see here. Train wreck of the week: Beeb, KSI versus Logan Paul lands on DAZN November 9th. What in the world? KSI versus Logan Paul. It was announced this week that KSI and Logan Paul, 2 guys that I still have no clue who they are, will rematch on November 9th on DAZN. Eddie Hearn and Matchroom is actually promoting this, and the rumor has it that Billy Joe Saunders will be on the undercard.
Wow.
If what I read was correct, it sounds like they're going to put like legit fights on the card, and then the sideshow is the main. So I
That's
kind of like the
crazy.
McGregor and Mayweather fight, I guess. I
Yeah.
mean, I don't know.
This is bananas.
Do you know who? I couldn't even tell
They're
you. I
you. They're
couldn't pick
you.
these
They're
guys
you.
out of a lineup.
No, they're YouTube personalities. They have a lot of subscribers and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, I couldn't tell you like what they do. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
They
I
make
don't know what these
YouTube.
guys
They make
do.
YouTube videos, bro. That's all they do.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
They got
Yeah,
They got millions of subscribers each of them. They have like 3 or 4 million subscribers each.
that's crazy.
Yeah,
That's
they're
crazy.
they're very popular on YouTube.
It's insane. Floyd Mayweather could be returning in a very close second for Train Wreck of the Week, according to the South China Morning Post. The press conference on September 18th in China will announce that Mayweather will hold a boxing match in China next year. The South China Morning Post explained through a spokesperson about this matchup. We've already gotten the Hainan government temporary approval for this event, but everything needs to be confirmed with Floyd as well. The details are not 100% confirmed yet. We are in the process of negotiating details with Mayweather's management. Thank you to WBN for the article. Beeb, so this is going to be, if I'm not mistaken, and if I'm reading this correctly, this is going to be another
Exhibition.
Yeah, another exhibition with maybe a Chinese boxer or a kickboxer or something like that. I mean,
Yes.
last time it was against Tenshin Nasugawa, who is a very good kickboxer, very solid kickboxer, one of the superstars over there. But listen, man, what is this? Why does he keep, and people will watch it. I'll watch it because I'm a degenerate for this stuff. But he's taken a lot of time promoting himself. Why don't you take that energy and promote Tank Davis? One of your star fighters, man. Why don't you take that, get him some big deals? Why don't you get him a big money deal like Canelo got? And obviously he's not Canelo, so but you get what I'm saying. You get where I'm coming from.
The amazing thing, and I'm not gonna hate. I'm not gonna hate at all. I'm going to be 100% honest. But the amazing thing is, if you're getting $9 million to do stuff like this, there's no way I can tell you not to do it. I can't. That's like candy from a baby. What he did to Tension, and he made $9 million for that.
Was it $9 million or $3 million?
No, $9 million. He made $9 million for that.
$9 million.
Even if it was $3 million, but it was $9 million. It was $9
Yeah.
million. But even if it was $3 million, even that. But imagine $9 million. He's making more than champions in professional boxing right now to fight 3-round exhibitions.
Yeah.
So I'm not telling anyone that they have to like this or love this, but at least understand it.
Yeah. Well,
and put yourself in that position.
Well, yeah, and I mean, if you think about it, he's got, that's a lot of money, and just to fight exhibitions. But isn't this the way that, remember how, didn't Joe Louis used to fight exhibitions like this, or not quite like this?
Joe Louis
but
became a professional wrestler.
Well, yeah, wasn't it? But I thought a lot of the bigger boxers used to fight like exhibitions like this.
George Foreman fought 5 guys in one night. Remember that exhibition that he did?
It was like Digstown,
Yeah, something. It's exactly what it was. Exactly what it was.
This is, so at the end of the day, this isn't really unheard of.
Muhammad Ali versus Antonio Inoki.
Yeah, right? Yeah, exactly.
I mean, this has been done before, but I don't think anyone else has been got paid $9 million to do it.
Why? Let me ask you a question. For a guy who claims he doesn't need money at all, and listen, this is as close to maybe free money as he's going to get. It's still, he's got to work for it. He's got to go over there. He's got to, there's still a lot to do there. But that being said, do you is he broke? Is that the feeling you get from this?
I don't think so. Do I know? No.
I don't know for a fact. But I know
if in my opinion, is he broke? 100% no. I don't think he is. But again, the richest people in the world, they still love money.
Yeah.
And they're rich for a reason, because they continue to make it. So there's no such thing as too much money. I mean, when you look at the most successful people in the world, they don't stop working, right? They keep doing what they're doing, right?
Yeah.
But to your point, what you're saying to yourself is, is the money worth the potential tarnishing of the legacy? Is that the point you're trying to make?
Yeah, I think so. I think at the end of the day, you kind of wonder about it. Like, did he? I mean, is that the thing? I mean, is he really like? Is he desperate for money? I mean, does he need the money, or does he? Because I don't know. I don't know his finances, but it seems odd to me that he's fighting this kind of thing versus fighting a legit threat.
It's almost like a donation, though. Like they just give it. It's like taking candy from a baby.
Yeah.
It's like you're doing. Like even the WWE thing he did, he got what did he get, $25 million for that, or 20
he got something crazy, yeah.
Got $20 million for that. But what year was that? What year was that he did that?
That was a while ago.
It was a
while ago, yeah.
That was a while ago, right? So
yeah.
Imagine making that much money to do something like that's scripted. And how long was that match with the Big Show, anyways?
Couldn't have been long.
It was like 10 minutes, right? Not
right.
even. About 10 minutes. Got $20 million for 10 minutes of work. How do you say no to that? How do you say no to that?
Yeah, and I guess there's not much downside to it in the sense that, hey, look, man. I mean, he's pretty much guaranteed to win that fight. Against a guy who probably doesn't box. Maybe he's a kickboxer or something like that. I don't know.
You're going into an event where you already know the outcome, and you're getting paid $9 million to do it.
Yeah.
It's almost impossible to say no to that.
Right? It kind of is.
Now, is he embarrassing himself? That's open to interpretation. I don't know. It doesn't bother me, but I don't know. Yeah. Is it a black eye to the sport? Is it? I mean, no, because it's. We still have today's champions to look forward to. Like Floyd's time has passed. We should already understand that. No one really wants to see a Floyd Pacquiao too.
No.
So let him live, I guess. Let him do what he wants to do.
Yeah.
I don't think he's hurting anybody.
No, I don't think so either.
Now, I don't take it serious. Obviously, I'm not gonna sit here and try to hype it up and say it's great and this and that. Make sure you don't miss it. No, but I understand it. I'm not gonna hate on it because it's just incredibly easy money. Easy money,
Right. Alexander Usyk and Tyrone Spong set for Chicago. Listen, man, a lot of different opponents have been thrown around. But ultimately, Tyrone Spong will get the nod to face Alexander Usyk for his heavyweight debut. Spong is a good boxer, a great kickboxer. I mean, like top-level kickboxer. He fought in Glory. He's just a kickboxing legend, man. He's top level. Unbeaten. He's unbeaten as a professional boxer, man, but he is taking a big step up by fighting Usyk. It's an interesting fight for as long as it lasts, but I expect Usyk to win this one easily. I don't know if he knocks him out. I think that's what everybody's looking for. Will Usyk knock him out? Yeah. And whether he does or doesn't, I don't know. We have about a minute left, and let me tell you this. This last story, which is kind of sad, man. It really is. Oliver McCall, the Atomic Bull, as you guys remember, Oliver McCall will return September 28th. And he will face Grover Young. Oliver McCall is 54 years old. 54. Beeb, give me some quick thoughts on that. Just a quick thought here as we close out.
This is a guy that needs the money.
This is the opposite of Floyd. This could be the opposite of Floyd,
if you're looking
right?
For a situation that you described earlier, this is it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it.
That's it.
right? I mean, what else could this be aside from that money grab? You know,
Yeah.
you got a guy here who's 54 years old and fighting. And, you know, in the article I'm reading, it says that he's trying to position himself for a title shot. Not going to work, man. But that's not up to me. That is what it is, man. That'll do it for this edition of Ringside Reporter. As always, you can catch Joe Habib on Twitter at jhabib1. Find our YouTube channel at Ringside Reporter Live. I'm at Ringside73 on Twitter, and we will see you next week.